The Big Brothers Big Sisters program is looking for both children and volunteers for their one-on-one program. We learn why this mentoring program can be a rewarding experience for you or your child. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose to get lost in the woods to gain experience in forest management.
Choose to travel through time to understand the past.
Choose to soar to pursue a career in dance.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, offering primary, specialty, and urgent care, plus surgery and more. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.
Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. Big Brothers and Big Sisters is looking to get bigs as well as littles involved in the program. It's a beneficial program for both. Let's learn more about that in today's show. We have Peggy McGann. She is with the Atlantic and Cape May County Big Brothers Big Sisters, and she is the event and also the program specialist for Big Brothers Big Sisters. Peggy, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you, Bert. I can't thank you enough for having us on your show tonight.
And I know that the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program, I'm pretty familiar with it. They refer to the youth that participate in the mentoring as the littles, and those adults that help mentor the children as the bigs. And there's a great opportunity for both to really get something out of the program. And we want to go into in depth about that. But let's talk about what Big Brothers and Big Sisters it really is as an organization. Give me a little breakdown.
Big Brothers Big Sisters is a one-on-one mentoring program. We have been around for over 100 years. I believe it was in the 60s. It was just boys were mentored at one time. And it was the early 60s that girls started to be mentored. And so our program, our vision is that all youth achieve their full potential to accomplish their goals. We have volunteers that help the children. We set goals and they work with them to help them to meet their goals. All we ask of our volunteers, a lot of people say, I don't know if I have the time, and they're a little nervous about making the commitment. We ask our volunteers for average of 4 hours a month. We ask for every other week, just for a couple of hours, and with a phone call in between. And statistics show that this truly makes a difference in the lives of the children in our program.
So we do want to get a little in-depth in terms of what it involves to participate as a volunteer mentoring these youth. As far as the organization, this is a national organization, and it's the local board members?
Correct, yes. We're nationwide, and we have 12 local board members. We cover Atlantic and Cape May County.
Now, let me ask you, I know that you're also a United Way agency. What are some of the other things you do to help support the organization?
So, yes, the United Way works with us, and we really rely on donations more so than anything else. We also have, with COVID, we haven't had as many, but we have several fundraisers throughout the course of the year. And this year we're probably simply going, and last year sort of too, focus on our car raffle, which is our biggest fundraiser. And it's one that we can do not meeting in person. So that's the one we're going to focus on this year.
And I know that that's available online, so we'll put the website on the screen here so folks who want to participate could certainly help. Now, let's talk a little bit about the areas that you serve. You mentioned Cape May and Atlantic County, and there are other chapters throughout South Jersey as well, correct?
Correct. Well, yes. There's the other chapters, the one chapter in South Jersey that's closer to Philadelphia covers that area of Jersey as well as Philadelphia.
And I know there's one in Cumberland County that I'm familiar with as well. Tell me, as far as the volunteers and the diversity of your programs, have you been able to get those communities, particularly in the urban communities, as much as you liked, or is there room to get more of those folks involved?
Absolutely. And that's why we reached out to your organization from the beginning. I have a potential big sister who would like to mentor a Latino little sister, and we didn't have any Latino littles in her area. And that's the thing as well. We don't want our volunteers to have to drive more than 20 minutes to see the children in the program. And after talking to you, I took a look at our numbers, and our current, we generally throughout the course of the year, we serve close to 200 children. With COVID, we were only able to serve, I believe it was 156 children. So our numbers dropped a little bit. But out of those matches, we have one Latino big and 8 Latino littles out of 156. So yes, I feel that it is underserved, or we feel that it's underserved. And so we're trying to get the word out about the good work we do about our program, and hope that more people will reach out to us, and we could be a little bit more diverse.
And I know we'll get into more specific on this, but so there's a great opportunity. And many folks don't really understand they're not looking for a replacement father or a replacement mother. These are, it's really a mentoring program, spending time and building relationship with this youth. Explain a little more about that, because I think that's where the disconnect is, exactly what it entails as far as getting someone involved in your life to mentor your child. Is it intrusive? Is it really fitting in?
And you hit it on the nose when you said we're not looking to replace the parents in any way, which is why we use the terms big brother, big sister, because that's what you're going to be like. And it doesn't matter if you're old enough to be their grandparent, you're still going to be like a big sister or a big brother to the child. Obviously, working with children, safety is our number one priority. And we do go over all of that with the families. We do a thorough interview of the parents and the children and the volunteers as well to attempt to get a match. We ask for a 2-year commitment. We hope that it'll be a lifetime friendship. So in order to do that, we try to find similarities, things that they might both enjoy together. And the volunteers, again, we do background checks, reference checks. Once the match is made, we have a match support specialist that works with the match throughout the life of for the entire time that they're matched. A child can stay in our program.
This is available for anyone. Is there a prerequisite for, say, a parent who wants to have their child have more opportunities in getting involved in activities? What's the prerequisite for the parent to get their child involved in the program?
We have to be sure, once again, for the child's safety, we have to be sure that we are working with a parent or guardian that will work with us as well. So that's part of the interview process to assure that they're going to work with us.
Right. And obviously, does it have to be a single parent? Could a mother and father still participate in the program for their child?
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't begin to run down all the scenarios. Every story is different in our program. For the most part, it is a single parent household or a grandparent or a foster parent raising the child. It's very rare that we do have a mother and a father, but depending on the circumstances, mom and dad are working full time and they have 4 children, and one of their children are getting bullied in school. And so they might reach out to us for that reason, because that particular child, out of the 4 children could really use a friend, could use somebody that was there just for them. Like I said, every situation's different. We had a family that reached out to us because their youngest son was autistic, and they felt that they couldn't really give their older daughter the one-on-one that they would like to, because it was taking so much work to help with the autistic child.
Well, let's get deep, go a little bit deeper, particularly for those folks who want to become a big and volunteer. We need to take a quick break, but we're going to be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. We continue our discussion with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Atlantic and Cape May County, and we have Peggy McGann with us. And Peggy, we were talking about the great program that you have, and overall, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, it's just a life-changing experience. I've been to some of the sunrise breakfast events, particularly over in Cumberland, when Mike Testa, who's now a senator, was chairman of the board there in Cumberland. And it was just so moving to see some of those experiences that some of these matches have had. I want to talk a little bit about those who want to volunteer. We're particularly looking for not just the volunteers, the bigs, we're also looking for littles to participate in the program. But tell me, what does it involve to become a big in this organization?
So for a volunteer, you have to be at least 18 years of age, and you have to have a driver's license, because you will be picking the child up and transporting them to whatever activity you choose to do. So with that, your driving record must be clean. You can't have a lot of violations on your driving record. Obviously, we're going to do a background check, so that has to come back without any issues. And we do a thorough interview. Not every child and not every volunteer is accepted into our program. The interview is to really get an idea if we are a good fit for that particular volunteer. And
let me just stop you here for a moment, because the big part, obviously the big concern for a parent would be safety, and you really have that process in place to assure that anyone that's involved with the organization is someone that's going to be safe. And you go through the due diligence to make sure that a participant is meeting those requirements.
Safety is our number one priority. So we do everything that we can from our end. References, if they've ever done any sort of volunteer work with children, we're reaching out to see, references for that experience. And, like I said, we're doing background checks and so forth. However, it's sad to say, but what if this person got past us somehow? So we have a lot of rules in place, and it's very important that these rules are followed for the child's safety. And we emphasize that with the parents as well. And once the match is made, we have a match support specialist that works with the match through the life of the match, and they're checking to assure that these rules are being followed, to help assure that the child is safe.
Now, does the person have to have experience? I mean, are there also training programs available to become a big and additional support along the way?
Yes, good question, Bert. We have training, and before you become a volunteer, we do a little bit of training, and we do training throughout the life of the match. So they don't have to have experience with children. And it's funny that you ask that, because that's one of the questions during the interview process. And sometimes you get people, you see they're getting a little nervous when they say that they don't have experience with children. And we assure them that it's just fine and that we're there to help guide them, and we're there for them throughout the entire process.
So how often does a big need to be involved with there's a program in place? Is it a weekly contact? How long is it? Is it prearranged, or is it a specific time period?
So we ask our volunteers for a 2-year commitment. We ask them to see the child on average about 4 hours a month. Every other week is what we suggest for a couple of hours, and a phone call in between seeing one another, or a text. Nowadays, a lot of the children prefer texting, but just to have some sort of communication in between the time that you're going to spend with one another.
And of course, that's the minimum, and I'm sure that some of these may vary depending on that relationship between the big and the child.
Yeah, that is the minimum. However, we have had volunteers that say, it's summertime and, they're a teacher and they're not working, and they say to us, well, I can give more time now. And our concern about giving more than every other week is that if you can't keep that up, there's going to be disappointment on the child's end. We do ask that they try to stick with our every other week, but it doesn't mean that once in a while, if there's something exciting going on, that they can't see each other more than that. But for the most part, we ask them to attempt to stick to that every other week.
Can you walk me through what a typical outing will be? For example, an experience between a big and a little during that period that they're spending time together?
So again, I don't know that there's necessarily typical, but we do ask our volunteers to do activities that don't cost money. It's just simply about spending quality time with the child and to lead by example. And we help them come up with outing ideas if they need ideas. And now with COVID, sometimes they're meeting virtually, doing some outings together, but they may help with homework. I had one match that the big brother and the little brother enjoyed fishing. So when the weather was nice, they almost always went fishing. They might go for a bike ride, a walk on the boardwalk, a walk on the beach. I just interviewed a little sister recently that didn't know how to swim, and she was hoping that a big sister would help teach her how to swim. I had a little brother that didn't know how to ride a bike, and his big brother taught him how to ride a bike. So, and these are just simple confidence boosters that, you may not see making a difference in the child's lives, but it makes a big difference in their lives. It helps boost their confidence.
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about the parents and what they look for. What's the expectation of the parents usually, and what's their role during this matchup that's taking place between their child and the volunteer?
So the parent's role is, as I mentioned, the rules, to be sure that they're following the rules, to know where their child is going, to know when, and the parent has the final say on whether they approve the outing that is planned, to know when to expect their child home, and to talk to their child afterwards, to ask their child the details of the outing, make sure that their child's comfortable going out with their big. We say to them, if for any reason your child says to you that they don't want to go, don't force them. Get to the bottom of why they might not want to go. So, it's all about safety. So
Exactly.
the parent's role is also to work closely with us. They're working closely with the volunteer, but we don't necessarily want the interaction to be in front of the child. We don't want the child to mistake that this is one of mom's friends spending time with me, or one of grandmom's friends.
Right.
We want them to feel that it's their friend. It's not mom or whoever their guardian might be.
Well, I mentioned a lot about some of these moving stories and some of these successes, and we want to take a little bit of time to discuss that. We're going to take a quick break, but we're going to be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. We continue our discussion with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Atlantic and Cape May, and joining me once again is Peggy McGann. Peggy, great information you provided on how to become a volunteer or quote unquote a big in the organization, serving a little, which is either a boy or a girl. Want to talk a little bit about some of the success stories, and this is important for parents because as you mentioned, we don't have enough children, particularly children, Latino children, participating in this program. We want to encourage more parents to take advantage of this great opportunity. If your child needs special attention, particularly as a single child, or if you're a grandparent raising a child, this may be a great opportunity. Tell me a little bit about some of the success stories.
I've just seen such wonderful things happen. I'm blessed to have this job. Children who had no interest in school. As a matter of fact, I spoke to a little girl the other day who was so excited to tell me that she made the honor roll. And
Wow.
This young lady was stealing off of her teacher's desk, stealing from fellow students, really wasn't interested in school, and so excited. I'm telling you, it was a phone call, but I was just grinning from ear to ear at listening to her little voice telling me about making the honor roll. And then she proceeded to tell me that her next goal was to make the principal's list, which I've been out of school for a long time. I wasn't quite sure what that was. And that meant that she would have to get all A's.
Wow.
So stories like that are just like the best, that's what we want to hear. I'll tell you another quick one about a big brother that was getting quite frustrated with his teen little brother, feeling that he wasn't getting anywhere with this guy. He wasn't clean about himself. He wasn't washing his hair. He wasn't washing his face, brushing his teeth. The big brother said, the little brother always had body odor. The little brother didn't really care about school, didn't care about working. And the big brother would say to us, I just don't know if I'm going to get anywhere. We had a layoff at one point with Big Brothers Big Sisters because the state had cut funding, sadly, and I had been laid off. And when I was brought back, which was well over a year later, I spoke to the little brother first. And when I asked him how he was doing, he told me that he was working 2 jobs and that he was doing volunteer work because he knew it would look good on a college application. And long story short, I couldn't wait to call the big brother and say, oh, I thought you weren't getting anywhere, were you? Because what a difference he made in this young man's life. And this young man is now a senior at college. He got a scholarship and went off to college. And I'm quite certain without the big brother in his life, these things wouldn't have happened. And keeping himself clean, by the way.
and I know, and I've seen how some of the bigs really get emotional talking about their little ones. So it's not just what the child is getting out of it as a practical matter, but it's just the outcome for the big, the volunteer who's putting in time and trying to spend time with that, and they get something very significant in return.
I have to tell you, Bert, I started as a volunteer and loved the organization. When the opportunity was there for me to work there, I jumped right on it. But as a volunteer, absolutely, I think we get more than we give. It's so rewarding. And if not for anything else, we as well as the children, we say the time that they're spending with their volunteers or with their bigs, they can get away from their worries, their cares. They can be a kid. Well, you know what? The same thing for the volunteer. We get to get away from our worries, from our cares, from our chores, from our jobs, and we get to be a kid. We get to have some fun. I went sledding with my little sister, and she thanked me for taking her sledding. And I looked at her and said, I thank you, because if, as an adult, if I showed up on this hill with my sled, I think by myself, I think somebody might call the police, So it was great that her and I had that experience together.
What's the biggest resistance you seen from a little wanting to participate in the program?
Well, here's the thing as well. When I said to you that we don't accept everyone, if the child does not want to be a part of our program, it's probably not going to work. So the children that we do accept in our program, they want to be a part of the program, and there doesn't seem to be resistance. They're so excited to spend time with the volunteer, and the parents will describe and share with us the issues that their child's having and misbehaving and getting in trouble in school, whatever it might be. And I've said on numerous times to the parent, we've never met this child that you've described. Like when they're with us, they're just so happy to be a part of our program and having a good time, that they seem to be on their best behavior and open to trying new things, open to having the volunteer help them with their schoolwork, things of that nature.
And of course, it doesn't have to necessarily be a child who's having difficulty, right? You could have a child who's doing pretty good, but the parent and the child would like to do more and get involved, and particularly have someone that could help them along. And you mentioned some of the great ones, like learning how to ride a bike or learning how to swim. So those are not necessarily kids that are having a problem. They need to be straightened out, but these are kids who are looking for an additional experience.
Absolutely. And I've also had some parents say to me that, my child's doing great, like they're not having issues, but I want to make sure that they continue to do great. I want to make sure that they stay on a good path. And that's the reason for reaching out to us, to help them stay on a good path.
I noted, and this is not the first time I heard that a Little has decided to do volunteer work. And that's from the great example that some of the bigs really lay out for these children. I mean, they're taking the time to spend time with me. I should probably volunteer and do other things as well. So it's also a great example for those youth.
Absolutely. And we encourage that volunteers to, they might do other type of volunteer work as well. And we encourage them to include their little in the type of volunteer work that they do.
So if you want to become a volunteer, where do you go to apply? And if you want to be, if you're little and you're looking to get involved, or you're a parent wants to get their child involved, who do you contact and what do you do?
So they can simply go to our website, which is www.bbbs for Big Brothers, Big Sisters, atlanticcape.org. And yes, there's 2 C's there. Everybody always asks if there's 2 C's. And if they don't have access to the internet, they can call the office, 609-573-5029. And you can, to go straight to me, you could do extension 12.
And obviously you mentioned you have some bilingual volunteers. So it's important that that don't stop you from applying and becoming part of the program.
That's a plus. That's awesome. Yes, absolutely.
Well, this is great information, Peggy. I hope that a lot of parents and children take advantage of it, and that we also get more bigs to come up and volunteer for this program. Again, I've been exposed to the program, know a lot about the program. I think it's just a great program, both for those who volunteer and for the littles who are involved in the program. So thank you so much for coming here on Latino Motion.
Oh, thank you for having us.
And unfortunately, that's all the time we have. So thank you once again for joining us here on Latino Motion.
Choose to get your feet wet, to learn more about protecting our environment. Choose to read minds, to understand the human brain.
Choose to get your hands dirty, to create a masterpiece.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, offering primary, specialty, and urgent care, plus surgery and more. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.